Why no one wants to work at this haunted New York restaurant? The screaming started in the kitchen, and no one could explain where it came from. It wasn't a normal scream. This one sounded like someone was trapped inside the walls, pounding and begging to be let out. Plates flew off the shelves by themselves, crashing onto the floor. The lights flickered so fast it looked like the whole room was shaking. And right in the middle of all that chaos, the new waiter, Adam, froze as a dark figure slowly stepped out from the walk-in freezer, leaving a trail of cold mist behind it. Its face was pale, its eyes hollow, and its mouth moved like it was trying to speak. Adam couldn't even breathe as the figure lifted a hand and pointed straight at him. The room fell silent. Then the freezer door slammed shut by itself, and the figure vanished. But Adam felt something icy grip his shoulder from behind. When he spun around, nothing was there except his shadow stretching across the floor, growing longer and longer until it reached his feet. That was the moment everyone finally understood why nobody wanted to work at this New York restaurant. And what happened next only made things worse. The story really began long before Adam ever set foot in the place. The restaurant, called Harper's Table, sat on a quiet street in Lower Manhattan. From the outside, it looked warm and welcoming, with soft lights and wooden doors that had been polished for decades. Locals loved the food, but people almost never applied to work there. The manager, Linda, spent most of her days interviewing new hires who never came back after their first shift. Some didn't even finish the night. Adam had heard rumors before he applied. People talked about strange things happening in the basement, or sudden cold spots that felt like someone brushing past you. But Adam didn't believe in ghosts. He needed a job, and he told himself stories were just stories. His first day started normally. Linda showed him where the aprons were, how to set the tables, and how to clock in. Everything felt fine until he went to the walk-in freezer to grab a box of vegetables. The temperature inside dropped so fast it hurt his skin. And then he heard it, a soft whisper. At first, he thought it was the freezer fan, but the whisper grew clearer. "Help me, please." Adam spun around, expecting a co-worker playing a joke. But no one was there. He hurried out and pushed the door closed. When he looked down, his breath stopped. There were fresh footprints in the frost on the floor, leading toward him, not away. He tried shrugging it off. Maybe the delivery guy had gone in earlier. Maybe the freezer was just old. But the fear stuck with him like a shadow he couldn't shake. Later that night, things only got stranger. While carrying plates to a table, Adam felt someone tap his shoulder. When he turned, he saw only empty space. A few minutes later, he heard a loud crash in the kitchen. He rushed in, thinking someone had fallen. But the room was empty. A row of plates lay shattered on the ground, even though they had been sitting safely on the shelf minutes earlier. Linda walked in behind him and sighed instead of showing surprise. "It's okay," she said calmly. "Just clean it up. They do that sometimes." "They?" Adam asked. "Don't worry about it," Linda replied quickly, walking away. But Adam did worry. The cooks worried too. They told him about strange knocks on the walls, silverware moving on its own, and the tall shadow many of them had seen near the bar. One chef named Marcus quit after something grabbed his apron strings in the basement and tried to pull him backward. As the night went on, the restaurant grew quieter. Most customers were gone. The staff moved faster so they could leave before midnight. No one wanted to be there late. Around 11 p.m., Linda asked Adam to help close up. He was sweeping when he heard footsteps behind him, slow, heavy, dragging across the floor. He turned, expecting Linda, but saw only darkness. The dining room lights flickered again. Then he saw it. A figure stood near the bar, not moving, not breathing. Its clothes looked old, soaked with something dark. Its head tilted slightly, like it was studying him. Adam froze. The room felt colder than the freezer. The figure took one step forward, and the sound echoed through the whole restaurant like a door slamming. Adam backed up, heart pounding. The figure took another step, then another, and just as it reached the edge of the light, just as Adam saw its face clearly for the first time, the entire restaurant went pitch black. A loud crash exploded from the kitchen, and something started running toward him. Adam's heart was pounding so hard he thought it might burst from his chest. In the darkness, He could hear the heavy footsteps, faster now, coming closer, echoing like they were inside his own skull. He stumbled backward, crashing into a table, sending silverware clattering to the floor. Then the lights flickered back on for a split second, and he saw it, just for an instant. The pale, hollow-eyed figure was standing at the other end of the dining room, grinning in a way that made his stomach turn. And then it was gone. Linda's voice cut through the room, shaky but firm. "Adam, over here. Quickly." She was pointing toward the storage room, her hand trembling. Adam ran toward her, glancing over his shoulder every second. The restaurant, once warm and welcoming, felt like a trap now, shadows twisting in every corner. But when they reached the storage room, Adam froze. The door slammed shut behind him, not by the wind, not by anything he could see, just slammed, like someone had pushed it with invisible hands. "Stay calm," Linda whispered, though her voice trembled. "This happens sometimes." "Sometimes?" Adam gasped. "What do you mean this happens sometimes?" Linda took a deep breath. "Harper's Table, it's old. Very old. Before it was a restaurant, it was a boarding house. People died here. Some of them didn't leave." Adam swallowed hard, his throat dry. He remembered the whispers in the freezer, the taps on his shoulder, the cold spots that seemed to follow him. Now it all made sense, and it terrified him. He wanted to run, to get out, but the door wasn't budging. And behind them, the faint sound of footsteps returned, slower now, deliberate, like something was circling them. They backed up together toward a small hallway that led to the back exit. On the way, Adam noticed the walls. The old wood was scratched, as if someone had clawed at it. There were handprints that couldn't have been made by any of the staff. And then the shadows moved again, dancing across the walls, forming shapes he couldn't quite understand. They reached the back door, yanking at the handle. It was locked. Adam's panic rose. He heard a whisper behind him. "Don't leave." He spun around. There, in the dim light of the kitchen, stood the figure again. But this time it wasn't alone. Dozens of shadows had gathered, almost human-shaped, circling him. They didn't move like people. They slid, gliding across the floor silently. Adam's legs wouldn't move. Linda screamed and pushed him forward. "Run!" They bolted down the narrow alley behind the restaurant. Cold air hit their faces, but the shadows seemed to follow, stretching toward them. Adam didn't look back, but he could feel them getting closer. Something icy grazed his arm, and he stumbled, nearly falling. Linda grabbed him and kept pulling him forward. Finally, they burst out onto the street. The night was quiet, the city's lights peaceful in comparison to the chaos they had just escaped. Adam gasped for air, looking back at the building. It looked normal again. The windows glowed warmly, inviting and ordinary. But Adam knew better. He could feel the weight of the eyes, still watching him. "I'm never going back there," he whispered. "None of us do," Linda replied. "That's why nobody works here for long. People think it's just stories. But once you see it, once you feel it, you never forget." Over the next few days, Adam learned the stories of past employees. Marcus, the chef, had quit after his apron was yanked in the basement. Others had quit after seeing shadowy figures at the bar, feeling icy hands on their shoulders, hearing whispers when no one was around. And some had simply disappeared, leaving their shifts unfinished, never heard from again. The restaurant had a long, dark history, filled with unexplained deaths and restless spirits. Even now, the locals whispered about Harper's Table. Tourists came for the food, never knowing the stories behind the closed doors. And the staff? They came, they stayed for a few nights, and they left, terrified, silent, and never returning. Adam never went back. He couldn't. And every time he walked past the restaurant, he swore he could see shadows moving behind the windows, waiting for the next person foolish enough to work there. And so, the haunted restaurant remained, serving meals with a side of fear, its reputation unshakable. No one wanted to work there, and now Adam understood exactly why. The screams, the shadows, the whispers, they weren't going anywhere. And deep down, he knew the ghosts were still inside, watching, waiting, and hungry for the next victim. The streets of New York moved on, unaware of the terror inside Harper's Table. But those who had worked there, or survived the night, never forgot. The story spread quietly, a warning to anyone who might think the restaurant was just a place to earn a paycheck. And though Adam had escaped, he could never shake the feeling that, somewhere, deep in the basement, the shadows were waiting, ready to pull someone else into the darkness.